Now, speaking of which, if you guys love gambling, every year there's prop bets. Now, what Lance was talking about was an actual prop bet. A prop bet is betting that that something happens, whether it's how long the national anthem is, heads or tails, or what's also a cool prop bet is to go in advance and decide if you can figure out who's going to be in next year's Super Bowl. Now, I know it's really early to talk about that, but I mean, the game was over for maybe an hour, and people were, and this was already released from Vegas of who was going to win the Super Bowl next year. Now, the biggest shocker to me was that Tampa Bay was dominant in that game, and Tampa Bay is not the number one team. They don't have the best odds to repeat the Super Bowl next year. Tell us who does.
Apparently, it's the losers, the Kansas City Chiefs, who has the best odds. Despite losing a 22-point Super Bowl, they still have the top odds of winning Super Bowl 56, even though they've been exposed and a lot of teams will copy what Tampa Bay did. So they still have an 11-2 odds. Well, probably because there's reasoning behind it. Eric Fisher is out, so if he'll able to play an entire season next season, so that's a big boost for the Chiefs. And also, let's not forget that Patrick Mahomes has a turf toe coming into this game. So regardless of what the Chiefs say, it does affect his game. So Chiefs 11-2.
Yeah, listen, that's the odds, 11-2. So if you bet $110, you can win $200 back. So I have this thing where I say sometimes we get the crush on somebody. Sometimes you get a crush on a girl, a woman. She's not a good woman. She's not a good woman, but you just have this crush because she's just so attractive. When I was younger, I would fall for this all the time. I was always like, oh my God, she's so pretty. And then I'm just like, she's such a bad person. She's just not a good person. But I would continue to deal with her not being a good person because she was so pretty. The Kansas City Chiefs are that pretty girl, that pretty yet flawed girl that the sports world is in love with. And they just can't get it out of their heads that they're the best team in the world. I would short the Kansas City Chiefs. I would find the bet, whatever the odds are that they're not going to win the Super Bowl, and I would bet that. Because, number one, unless you're Tom Brady, it's really hard to go back and win a Super Bowl. It just is. It's very difficult. I don't care what people say. It's very difficult to go back and win a Super Bowl. I would also say it's extremely hard. It's extremely hard to go back 2 years in a row after you just lost, come back the next year, and be dominant and win again. You're right about the fact that this is a copycat league, and people are seeing what's wrong. People are noticing what is wrong with the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're going to actually exploit it in the future. So I see this being huge problems. I'll tell you what, why don't you give me the top three teams for the odds to make the Super Bowl, and then give me the bottom three, and let's compare them.
Okay, so Chiefs number 1. Apparently number 2 is also a surprising team, the Packers. So one team that has been dominated by the Buccaneers as well.
Wow. Okay.
So Packers are 9-1, and then Tampa Bay comes in at number 3, 11-1. So utter shame and utter disrespect for what the Buccaneers just did. They just dominated the defending champions.
Well, look, again, like I said, it is very difficult to repeat. So it's very difficult to come out and say that you're going to you think that the defending champ is going to win next year. But don't bet against Tom Brady. The guy's played 20 years. He's been in the Super Bowl 10 times. That's literally unheard of. No one's ever done that. And listen, I don't think anybody ever will again. If we're being totally honest, I'm not sure I'll live that long to give somebody an opportunity, but it's an impossible feat. It's almost impossible. So let's see what happens. But so you got Kansas City first, you got Green Bay second, you got Tampa Bay third. What are the bottom three teams?
Okay, so before we continue with the bottom three, let's not forget the last quarterback to win back-to-back, Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Okay,
don't bet against Tom Brady.
Yeah, never bet against Tom Brady. It's like the first commandment in the NFL. Okay, so actually this we have like bottom 4 because 3 teams are tied with the same odds, and then there's one team that has worse odds than them. So at 40-1, the 3 teams are the Arizona Cardinals, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Las Vegas Raiders. And at 50-1, the New England Patriots.
50-1 to win the Super Bowl next year. Well, like they weren't that good this year, so I think that's a pretty strong bet. We don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. If it's Cam Newton again, I'd put 100-1 against that. So those are interesting.
So that's
odds.
50-1 for the Patriots.
Those are interesting odds.
Yeah, indeed. I don't see anyone really hitting these odds, but just a question for you, John. Who do you think from these teams can make the biggest jump for next season?
The biggest jump next year? Look, I would like to see the Titans actually tighten up their defense. I would like to see Buffalo tighten up their defense a little bit and work on their running game. And to me, those are two teams out of the AFC that could make exponential jumps and definitely come back and really make a play against the Kansas City Chiefs. I also don't want to discount the fact that you got Baltimore and Cleveland in a very tough division, but both of those teams are really stacked. Baltimore needs to work on getting a little bit more of a passing game, quite honestly, but they can fix that, fix a couple small issues they have on defense. They're a competitor again too. And Cleveland's just loaded. I mean, you got 2 Pro Bowl caliber running backs. You got 2 Pro Bowl caliber wide receivers. You got 2 great tight ends. You got a really good offensive line. You got a decent defense. You got a quarterback who's still under a rookie contract for 2 more years. You got, to me, in Cleveland, you got a 2-year run to actually try to win a Super Bowl there, get yourself to a Super Bowl. And now you have the experience. You have Stefanski, who's just won Coach of the Year. Look, that's going to be a tough team coming up. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. We have a very tough division we're going to be playing in with Baltimore and Cleveland. Those are the teams I see in the AFC. In the NFC, obviously, you got to go back and look at the Rams. The Rams appear to have the defense. They think they have the quarterback now. This the kind of trade that could actually put the pep in that entire team step and get them very excited about the fact they have a guy who's really a gunslinger in Matthew Stafford. He's not quite the safe thrower that Goff was. And, one of the teams that I really like in that division, I think San Francisco is actually getting an opportunity to be healthy and come back and be a better team. But one team that I really like to take a huge step will be the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals have a very unique offense. They've got a Kyler Murray, who is just a dynamic player. They've got an okay defense that can be patched up and made a little bit better. If they can get a little more balance on the offensive side and, maybe one more offensive lineman, a couple holes filled on defense. And I think the Arizona Cardinals are another team. And all 3 of those teams come out of the same division too, which is very, very weird. But that's a very strong division. I think that division has a very good opportunity to make some noise.